it's Ronnie. Won't you see outside? It's beautiful. I never got no rain again. There's no rain. It's down to 82 degrees. Tomorrow it's going to be 92. I want to explain about safety and what I do. You know, on my Rollo's repair business. I got my full-time job, and then I do farming and heavy equipment, sometimes truck stuff. On the side, I don't know what you want to see. I'll show you something here in a little bit. I'm sorry I'm smoking, and it's going to take me a while to get to my cigarette, but I got it. So for those non-smokers that hate smoking, you can't smell it now. It shouldn't bother you. It's just me, right? Add a little humor. Here's the deal. I want to explain. I haven't turned on my laptop or my tablet or my TV, anything. I just got home and been kind of chilling for like half hour. I got an Oucha. And I said, yeah, I get $150 an hour to work on big equipment. Not automobiles, which the shops charge. This is big stuff. Big pivots, big tractors, big semis, and stuff. Oh yeah, I always got my hands in it. I'll try to keep my hand out of the way. And big, heavy, dangerous stuff. And I went on a service call after work today. But $150 an hour to $200, you have to remember, I have to have my own insurance. If I get injured, my regular work insurance for me, you know, takes care if I get sick or whatever, or things like that, and they have workman's comp at work. If I get injured or hurt when I'm out on a job, I have to have my own insurance, and it's not cheap, all right? It is not cheap. It takes basically $50 an hour away, because what I do is basically very dangerous working on big, heavy equipment. Now I'm going to tell you a story. I was on a service call about 2 weeks ago. At least you can see outside. Yeah, try to keep my hands out of the way. 2 weeks ago I was on a service call. There's a center pivot that has, well, there's one well that runs two center pivots. And it don't just have piping that you turn a big valve, which would be normal and smart and safe. When you want to run one pivot, you fire up the diesel engine and the well, and you move the freaking valve, and there's one line goes to one pivot that's 10 inches around, and then there's another line. You know, like them little deals you can put on your side of your house to run two garden hoses. Flip one or the other, you know, and a little Y. Oh no! And this is all freaking steel pipe. Okay? 10-inch steel pipe. You have to basically, it's a diesel engine powered pump with a PTO on it. The well head should be bolted down. No, you have to pull clamps off, take 15 feet, 20 feet of steel freaking pipe that weighs about one end is over 200 and some pounds, and elbows and shit, and you have to get a four-wheeler or your pickup and a chain and unclamp it. Use a come-along to pull the pipe out of one hole, and then pull the freaking whole wellhead and turn it, and then move your pickup around the other side with a chain after you drop that 250-pound steel pipe, and then try to put on one with elbows and shit and line it up. That's 6 feet away to angle this way from where it all starts. Say, this is imaginary where it starts. You got one straight line coming out to one pivot. You got another chunk comes out and then comes way over here, okay? 10-inch steel pipe. I said, one end of it, trying to hump one end of it is well over 200 frickin' pounds. But I've been there before, 2 weeks ago, because they had a hired guy, and usually had two. Well, the dude's about ready to retire, and one hired guy didn't show up this spring, so he had one. But the one hired guy was stealing stuff out of his shop, so he had to fire him, so he's all alone. So he called me and said, hey, I need some help to just change the pipe from one pivot over, and we got to twist the wellhead, which is just fucking idiotic. And I was assuming it was aluminum, but it's steel pipe. And this guy is younger than me, but that's the way it's been set up. And I guess I don't know if he owns it or rents it, but no. And there's like concrete blocks and crap. Grass, you got to change that to run the two pivots. He didn't spray it, kill the grass. There's like concrete blocks and stuff in the ground and in chunks, and come-alongs on the freaking one pivot and stuff, and I had to bring my own in the chain. And this is steel freaking pipe. It's not 80-pound aluminum. It's 200, 300, 400 pound steel crap. And got it all. I helped him switch it over. Oh, it'll take 10 minutes. Took us 2.5 hours. Me and him with all my stuff I brought along with my four-wheel drive pickup and getting it done, right? Because he never had to do it. He had hired guys that he made do it, and he paid them. But so I tried to take away I said, you need help switching it again? You ain't got no hired men no more. Give me a call when you need to switch them. I know how it's all just a dangerous, nasty, waiting to break somebody in half mess the way this is all set up from like 1969 to 71. I said, why don't you put aluminum pipe and stuff, and I can show you how to set it up where you can change it all yourself. You know, maybe lift 20 pounds of one end of pipe, or you just plumb in use the steel pipe and plumb in a valve and a Y, and you just flip the lever on top to which pivot you want instead of taking. Oh, it's dangerous as hell. Concrete blocks, holes. It's not the ones I have made videos before. This is a different one. Just dangerous as hell. And I thought I got all the stuff dug up out of the ground around the wellhead where we had to move stuff. I knew what I was in for. Still had a big, heavy steel pipe, and you pull it out and you wiggle it and use big, giant. They got a piece of angle iron, galvanized, that's like 10 foot long, and I jab in the wet dirt, and then try to pry the shit apart, and you let it drop. And then you got to try to. It's just a freaking nightmare of trying to hurt humans very quickly. But I've been there, and I thought I had all the evil, nasty stuff that could hurt anyone doing it dug up out of the way. And so, yeah, I got a call at like noon today. Sorry, I'm trying to get to my cigarette here. Shit, I think it went out. Well, I'm going to have to light a new one. I'll wait. Went out, done it. I've been there. I thought I had all the safety stuff. Boom. But, all right. I'll help you. I need help switching it over. Okay, he don't have no hired guy. You know, he's paying me. Super uber retarded, most dangerous setup on something like this I've seen my whole lifetime. That's been there since like 1969 or 1970, and I'm gonna have a drink of beer. Yeah, but stone sober right after work. You know, and I don't know, yeah, it's only like 8 miles out of the way, each way on my ride home, okay? Yeah, it's short story long, but I've been there before. I thought I had all the shit covered. Well, going to move it, this guy is my height, but he couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag. And a plastic bag from Menards would suffocate him, right? And he's helping. He couldn't hold nothing. Said, well, you're paying me. Let me. Got the pipe work loose. Where normally pull one 220-pound end pipe. Once it comes out, you don't know when it's gonna come out, and it's this this far off the frickin' ground, right? Well, you can't. Yeah. Okay, you know what? If anybody knows how to use a tape measure, it's like 20 inches above ground, and once it pops out, it weighs 200 and some pounds, which I can lift when you know it's coming, but you don't know when it's going to pop out. So when I've done it before, work it back, and yeah, he can help a little. And then when it pops out, you drop it, let it drop to the ground, but not one hand. I got both hands, right, around this 10-inch pipe, holding it up, working it, pulling it out, and once it drops, pull my hands away and let it drop on the ground, and it is 18, 20 inches above the ground, so it just lays on the ground. And then you gotta leave that one, and then you gotta pull the whole wellhead and twist it, and then line up another pipe that goes the other way. Well, I thought I had all this stuff covered, right? First thing first, he had to he kind of helped work that big 10-inch pipe of steel, not aluminum, out of the wellhead outlet. And I said, when it comes out, you don't know, because you can't tell how far it is, and it's so fast, you just drop it on the dirt, right? Well, I thought I had all the safety stuff, concrete blocks, chunks of stuff out of the way. Needless to say, I got it worked out. I was ready, and I went, to let it down and drop it, and 20 inches, that's about almost this high as my desk. It'd be about right here, down to there, to the ground. 200 and plus pounds, right? And just let it drop on the dirt. It's steel pipe. It ain't gonna hurt it. Well, as it popped out, I had not just one hand around it, underneath, working it out. I had both. And when it dropped, I'm like, okay, just, now it's falling. It popped out. Drop it. Get your hands out of the way. It's going to land on the ground. Well, my hand was just in perfect place. There was what a concrete 8x16-inch double hole cinder block concrete they make basements out of is? Well, if you do, there happened to be one in the grass exactly under that pipe that I didn't see, sticking up 4 to 5 inches, half buried in the dirt, in the grass, and standing over the pipe. The pipe's like this between my legs. I'm straddling it, holding it, and you couldn't see it. And the grass is like all over and tall. And worked it out. Once it dropped, went to pull my hands away. I didn't have the 20 inches from here to here to get my hands out of the way. And look, that pipe dropped on my hand. I had very, very expensive, good leather, tight-fitting gloves on. I didn't know that concrete block was here, and I thought I had distance to get my hands out of the way and let it drop. Well, before I could even get my hands out, that pipe dropped about 14 inches. That weighs over 200 some pounds on that, just that end. And jammed my hand, as I was pulling it out, into, with my fingers, into one of them holes in that concrete block, that cinder block with holes, that was 4 inches, 5 inches off the ground, sticking out, half buried in the grass that I didn't see. I had my heavy-duty leather gloves on. You see what happened? Can you say oucha? I'm not bitching and whining. I thought I dug up so many chunks of concrete blocks when I was there last time. I said, there's only one way to do it, the way it's set up. And I said, yeah, and I knew he was going to call it. I thought I dug up all of them. I missed one. That's what happened. When it dropped, and I thought I had all the way to the ground, which even when the end hit to the ground, I should have had like 2 inches of clearance. And my hands should have never been touching anything. Even though I got my hands out and, yeah, right between the concrete 8x16 cinder block with the holes with my heavy gloves on, and that all dropped on this hand. And you see what happened. It got all 4 of my fingers. The first thing I did after it hit, my fingers were smashed inside the holes of the block with that on it. And I kicked that big steel pipe off. Going, what the hell? Immediately, what in the hell got me? Boom! I had my big leather gloves on, the $60 a pair of leather gloves that I used for a reason. And I kicked that steel pipe because my hands caught under, and it's not touching the ground, right? And there's a gap. It should have never touched the ground, should have never caught nothing. Well, it's pinned on that concrete block, and it went down in one of the holes, and I kicked it immediately to go like, just get it off, because my hand's not even on the ground, and I just kicked that big pipe. Yeah, and boom, and it dropped off the side, and my hand's down in this freaking concrete 8x16 inch freaking block that I didn't know was there, sticking up out of the ground. So it should have dropped, and it should never. It got me, but my gloves. Immediately after, I felt it. It was crushing my fingers. Okay, it dropped. It didn't just sit. It dropped like freaking 20 inches, and then smashed in my. Next thing I did immediately was pull off my head after yelling like, boom, and kick, and like, what the fuck happened? But do I have any fingers left? I kicked the sumbitch up, picked up my hand, and immediately I had my other hand, pulled my leather glove off to see if I had all my fingers left, or if I was going to have to get what's left of my fingers that were cut off out of that leather glove, and we were going to have to haul ass to the emergency room. And if I was going to have to take pieces of my fingers that were cut off and put them in my lunchbox cooler that was still kind of cool, and just boogie 20 miles to the emergency room and see if they could save my fingers. But my fingers were intact. Okay? Those leather gloves saved me in the way it fell, and my fingers went down into the hole of that concrete block. When it hit, this is when it took the brunt. But when it hit and smashed, I've had my right hand, the other one, smashed 3 fingers straight across from like, I only got 2 hands. From my second knuckles, I've had them smashed by flat against flat, and it blew my fingertips off. Okay, it crushed the ends of my fingers, blew my fingertips off, and blood You know, because it's like hydraulics. It's blood is fluid. It blew my fingertips off, and you could see bare bones on this right hand. That's good. That never got hurt. But that was when I was like 23 years old. Stuff happens. This one, it squished and compressed, and I don't think it shattered the bones on the end of my finger, but it compressed so hard downwards. But I have big calluses and stuff on my hands from doing what I'm doing. It didn't blow the tip out of my finger or this one. All three of these got smashed. This one got the most of it. The tip of my finger is still here, see? It's all just scrunched and smushed, and yeah, that's one that's already swelled up. That's what this one looks like. But I think I really actually got lucky. It didn't blow the tips of my fingers off with bare bones sticking out. The angle it hit and crushed, if you can see here now. All the pressure on the end of my finger, instead of blowing out, I only got one. Instead of blowing out the end of my fingertip, right here, it crushed and squished it as it, smashed the shit out of it. All that pressure, instead of, it tried to blow out the side of my finger right there. You can see that line. But those are calluses. It didn't give. Otherwise, it would have blew out the side of my finger from that squishing. It didn't give there. It blew up here on the top of my fingernail. Not on the end. Didn't blow the side out of my finger. But you can see the frickin' line if you look close. There's a line right there, right in there. Yeah, see that? That's where my calluses almost gave way, and it tried to blow the end of my finger apart. But instead, it blew all the blood and stuff in my end of my finger out here on the bottom end of my fingernail, and it just pouring out blood. it's still draining, which is good, because then I don't have to drill holes in my fingernail. But yeah, and if you look at it from it just blew up from under my fingernail there like a little, the skin and everything wet. When it's clean, kind of washed off quick, like a little valve. It didn't blow my fingertip off. I'm very happy of that. It squished it so hard, I said, you can see that line in my calluses. It tried to explode the side of my finger, but before the side of my finger blew apart, it gave all the way up here, and all that blood and stuff that was in the end of my finger had to go somewhere while it was getting crushed, and it blew out right on the top edge of the fingernail. Oh yeah, I'm going to lose a fingernail and stuff. I'm sure I got some damage to the bone on the end of my finger. If I didn't have those heavy-duty, expensive leather gloves, I would have had pieces of fingers trying to find and run into an emergency room. But yeah, $150 an hour, $200 an hour. I have to pay my own insurance and stuff for this. And if you work on big equipment, heavy equipment, even automobiles, you're going to get hurt if you're a mechanic on them. Freak stuff's going to happen. But the bigger the stuff is, the more it's going to hurt you. And you can be as safe as you want. I've been doing this stuff for, I can't really tell you, over, 43. Well, when I was 10, I was working on tractors and heavy equipment. So, 48 years. But yeah, I got lucky. It didn't blow the side of my finger out, because where that line is, that would take a lot longer to heal. It didn't blow the end of my fingertips out. All three of these got smashed, but this one took the front, as you can see. but it's all still connected. I don't think it crushed the bones in the end of my finger too much because it got lucky. And it blew all the pressure blew out right up here on that side of my finger now, where that big blood blotch is and looks like a valve that blew open. And my big swelled up fingers and my big swelled up hand right now. But $150 an hour, 200. Oh, look at all that money. Yeah, it cost me $50 basically an hour just to have insurance. If I would have to go to the hospital to take care of this, I think I got covered. I don't want anybody whine and cry. I've been smashed, busted. That's why I don't have my original teeth. Accidents happen on great big stuff, and giant grain cart with the big giant wheel and stuff didn't work, and as safe as you can, and something blew apart, and some stuff hit me in the face, right in the mouth, even though I was ducking behind everything I could, reaching and being safe, and knocked my teeth out. Luckily, it didn't hit me 2 inches higher across my eyes and my nose. I'd be blind or dead, but it just, what got me took all my front teeth out and blew them out of my face pretty much. So, yeah, but